Feel compelled to tell this story because I think that so many women who struggle with hair loss are either embarrassed about it and never seek help or go to a doctor and are downplayed. I'll be honest, I think I was downplayed by 5 doctors before I finally just took the matter into my own hands with my husband's blessing and solved it for myself. Hey guys, it's Tina and welcome to my channel. Today, I am going to speak about a topic that is absolutely not part of my normal themes and not part of what I typically speak about at all. Today, I'm going to talk about hair loss and specifically women's hair loss. It's a topic that I think is a little bit taboo in society. I think it's really common for men to lose hair, have a receding hairline, or even go all the way bald. And to some degree, it's even seen as like an attractive feature or shows maturity and authority. For women, it is frequently looked at as something like she's ill, she's sick, because for women, your hair is a sign of health. It is a sign of femininity. It is your crowning glory. I struggled with this. When I was in my early 20s, I started losing my hair. I figured out eventually what was the cause for my hair loss, and I'll get to that. But I want to start by saying that I started losing my hair, I think, at the age of 22, and it continued through the age of 27, and it never recovered. When I was 22, I had just really thick, luxurious hair. I mean, the kind of hair that I received compliments on my whole life. People would always come up to me. That was one of the few compliments. I was like overweight as a kid and I was really shy and I had these like, insane bushy eyebrows, but I had beautiful hair. And people told me so. A lot of people told me so. And I really, truly considered my hair to be my crowning glory. It was what I considered beautiful about me. So when it started falling out, I was really upset about it. I was traumatized. And in the beginning, I noticed something was happening, but I didn't like really connect the dots. And then it started to become more and more apparent to me that it was happening. And I started speaking about it to people, to my family, to my boyfriend at the time. And I even brought it up to doctors. And everybody just kind of looked at me like, no, you've got a ton of hair. You're fine. I think it's in your head. And I'll be honest, I had doctors especially do that to me. And so I'm going to say right now and right up front, do your own research because doctors are not the end all be all. You need them to help diagnose most of the time, and they definitely are educated and know what they're talking about, but they don't know you. They don't know you as well as you know yourself. And if you are being downplayed or even mocked by a physician, find a new physician. It's not okay. The first doctor I went to pretty much told me it was in my head and didn't really pursue the conversation at all, didn't offer me any suggestions, and didn't recommend a referral. Fast forward 6 months to a year, it's still continuing. As a matter of fact, it's gotten a little bit worse. And now I am coping with extreme anxiety over it. At this point, I'm 24 years old. I'm just starting to date a guy, but I remember feeling like I gotta play it cool. I can't tell him what's going on. I have to disguise it because I want him to think I'm cool. I am cool. Don't you know I'm cool? Let's be cool together. This is where I was at. And I didn't want this embarrassment and this shame of my hair loss to ever become a focal point of our relationship. But on the inside, I was just wilting. I was wilting on the inside. I was so devastated because I was having nightmares. I was literally having nightmares where I was waking up the next day bald and convinced that I would be unlovable and not beautiful and that nobody would want me and that I would be bald by the time I was 30, and I was devastated. Fast forward maybe another year or so, this is still going on, and I've taken a new job opportunity and I moved to Minnesota. I was in Montana and now I've moved to Minnesota. And now my hair is falling out in handfuls, in straight up handfuls. I was so neurotic about it that I was collecting my hair that would fall out on a given day and I was counting out how many strands. Like, this is super embarrassing to admit, but I did it because I knew it and I wanted to confirm it for myself, and I still had physicians downplaying it. And I was counting out anywhere from like 300 to 500 strands of hair a day. For the record, let it be known, 100 strands of hair loss a day is normal. Anything above and beyond that is probably indicative of some kind of like a flux in your hair cycles, and you are losing more than is the average. This went on for months, probably about 9 months. It got to the point where I was just completely mortified. I was strategically doing my hair in different ways to disguise the loss. My boyfriend had moved from Montana to Minnesota to be with me. And at this point, even he was like, something's the matter. Like, you need to go to a doctor and figure this out because something is absolutely wrong. I distinctly remember going to a doctor, explaining what was happening, again, getting no referrals, being told that it was clear my hair was thinning, but sometimes that just happens. It's probably stress from the move. It's clear I have anxiety. The doctor wrote me a prescription for tranquilizers. How jacked up is that? I'm begging for help to figure out why my hair is falling out. At this point, I'm 26 years old, 25 maybe 26. And his answer to me was to put me on tranks. Thankfully, the internet was around and I began to research on my own. And I finally put 2 and 2 together that it probably wasn't stress and anxiety. It was hormonal. And I started to think through the patterns of where the hair loss started and where it increased and where it got outrageous bad. And I figured out what had happened. When I was 17, my mother took me to the gynecologist and suggested that I get put on birth control because I was about to leave for college and she was worried about, experimentation, I guess. And she was looking to protect me. I was on a particular brand of birth control for all of college. And then when I left college, I had to start going to Planned Parenthood for my gynecological needs. And they did not offer through them any name brand pharmaceuticals. You had to go with generic. So I had to switch to a generic brand. This was when the hair loss started, although I never put 2 and 2 together back then. I stayed on that for a year to a year and a half, and then I moved to Minnesota for a job, took this job. The insurance changed when I got there. And at the place where I was now, I had to switch to another sort of generic of orthotricycline. I think the last one was called Trinessa. I don't even know if these products are still available because I haven't used birth control since I put this all together. But I will tell you that I put it together and I was convinced this was the problem. I went to a new gynecologist. I explained to her what was going on. I showed to her in the side effects that hair loss was a known side effect and that I wanted her to give me an option for being on a non-hormonal birth control. Tell me what my options were. She proceeded to explain to me that, yeah, it's listed as a side effect there, but I don't think that's your problem. Again, a doctor discouraging me. Then I said, I have heard about the Paragard IUD and that's non-hormonal. Could I use that? And she said, I don't want to put you on that because you're not married and I'm not convinced that you won't be promiscuous and pick up a venereal. That's pretty much what she told me, which is so insulting, so outrageously insulting that, again, shocked by a physician downplaying me and insulting my intelligence. Because then she recommended the Mirena IUD, which is a hormonal IUD. I said to her, all right, I'm confused. You just told me you won't give me that IUD because you're worried about me being promiscuous. And now you want to give me this IUD, which is hormonal, which is specifically what I asked not to have. I go home and I'm just completely distraught. I'm beyond upset. And my husband, he pretty much said, get off of it. We'll find another way. Like, just get off of it. So I did. And within 1 month, my hair started falling out even worse, which was to be expected. It's the same kind of hair loss that happens after a woman gives birth, that, postnatal experience where a lot of hair loss comes or a lot of hair falls out because of the dramatic hormonal shift. This lasted for like 9 months as it slowly, like my I guess hormonal settings got readjusted for what they would have been naturally. In that time, I felt as though I had a traveling bruise that would move around different parts of my head and it would be extremely tender to the touch. And I just felt like in my heart, I knew I had found the problem. When those 9 months were off, I started to slowly regain some of the hair that had been lost during that 9-month window. I'll be honest, I never recovered what my hair used to be like back when I was young. I am so frustrated by that. And simultaneously, I'm so grateful to the internet that I now had, a path to figure it out on my own. And luckily, I'm the kind of person who's research oriented, and I was willing to do that investigation and figure it out. I imagine that women who are struggling with this now would take to YouTube. YouTube didn't exist back when I was going through this, so I wouldn't have had a way to go and look at somebody else's video and see how they're handling it. But ultimately, that's what happened to me, and I guess that's my hair loss story, my alopecia story. Since then, I've, like I said, never recovered, but I've found ways to manage my hair and to disguise it. I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about some of the products that I do use and have used. First and foremost, I don't think that when you're struggling from hair loss, you have to do any of those things where you like massage activating oils into your scalp. I tried that, none of it worked. And I was really consistent. I mean, I don't even remember what they all were, like rosemary oil, emu oil, like all these different things that I feel guilty even having bought, like the emu oil, but I was so desperate. I was so desperate to recover my hair that I did that. I tried taking biotin, B complex, a variety of vitamins. Maybe that could work for you. I've had, many salon stylists and even a few estheticians recommend that to me, but I'll tell you right now, none of it worked for me. And I was really consistent for a really long time. I tried having the super nourishing green smoothies. I think that did help. Not so much with hair like rejuvenation as it did with just me being probably the most healthy I've ever been. So I'm all for the green smoothie approach. But in the end, I feel like I just had to manage what I had left, and I had to make it look as good as I could. So I've tried a bunch of different fancy pants products, and I'll be honest, this is a travel size one, but Tresemme, it's what I use. Honestly, it feels really good. I've had it recommended by multiple stylists. I use the vitamin E one, the moisture rich one, and I have the shampoo and the conditioner, and I shampoo my whole head. I really massage my scalp, and then when I do the conditioner, I only condition from like about here down. I never condition the roots of my hair because it will just weight it down and make it look worse more quickly. I only wash my hair every second or third day because honestly, I work really hard to make sure that it stays like, I like to keep the natural oils in it, and I like to not over product it. Like I don't use product on a daily basis. My hair is about as natural as it can be because I feel like natural is healthy and I want what I have to last for as long as it will. I'm terrified of the day that I have to start like dyeing gray hairs because I'm really worried about having to put dyes in it, and I might have to be one of those people that just sucks it up and goes salt and pepper from the start because I don't want to risk jacking up my hair any worse. For a while, I used a product that I found from watching Oprah. It's called Topic. It is specifically designed for disguising hair loss. I used this like a dry shampoo. I originally used dry shampoos, but I hated how they always left like this like white looking powdery texture on your hair. And so I used this because you could buy it in colors that matched your hair color. And so it would disguise some of the thinness so that if you were out in the sun and it's really obvious you have thinness, it wouldn't be so obvious. You can check out their website, but I'll be honest, it's expensive. I'll link their website for you, but I have switched to this, Batiste. It is a dry shampoo. It's like an actual dry shampoo, but it has some colorant in there, so it helps disguise the thinness. But mostly it's just a dry shampoo, and they have it in like all sorts of colors. I snapped a photo at Walmart when I was there just the other day. And I'll plug it in here so you can see. There's a huge variety, and they're like between $6 and $9 at Walmart. So add $2 to that and you'll have the Target prices. I feel like it's really good to leverage these type of tools. I think a lot of people are embarrassed to do that, but I look at it like If it makes you feel better and you feel more beautiful, that's going to make you more outgoing, and that's going to make you more willing to approach others and get engaged and have relationships and, interact. And I think that that is so important for the human psyche. So when I see, I am going to try not to get choked up about this, but when I see women who are clearly struggling with hair loss, like I can't tell you, like because I've coped with it, I can see it really easy with other women now. Like I know what to look for and I know what it looks like. And when I see them, there's a part of me that just wants to like walk up to them and talk to them and be like, "How are you coping? Like, are you okay?" But you can't do that. Like that would be terrible. That would be like, you know, throwing it in their face that it's obvious. Like, so I don't recommend doing that to anybody if you see somebody in this situation, unless it's a family member or somebody who you know well and you love. But I think, and I see that they're not doing anything to disguise it, and I just know how I felt, and so I just think, how much of yourself are you hiding from the world and not willing to like put yourself out there because you might feel really self-conscious? That is the main thing I wanted to just talk about is number one, let people know that it happened to me and it's not uncommon. Number two, talk about how it made me feel and how the doctors made me feel, and that you can take matters into your own hands and figure this out for you. Number three, some of the products that I use to help me manage the situation I'm in. And then the last thing I want to say, and this is an idea that I'm taking from Jordan Peterson. He talks about in his videos just kind of like embracing the truth of your situation and knowing that when you go through these difficult things, seeing them as a way of refining yourself. And I've been really toying with this idea in a number of ways, a number of aspects of my life. And I truly believe that me going through hair loss has refined who I am as a person. I feel like even though I would probably pay money and a lot of money to get my hair back the way it was in high school and the start of college, I don't regret having been through this experience because it has fundamentally made me a different person in that I'm so much more compassionate now. I'm so much more cognizant of the idea that people could be working through inner turmoil and you'll never know it. You'll never know it. I didn't show it to hardly anyone, and so many people would have never guessed. It actually, in a way, was my beginning of actually seeking spiritual truths and looking at the deeper matters in life and trying to look at life as more than the superficial, how I look, what I have, how I do. You know what I mean? It became much more about who am I and why am I that way and what do I value and is there a God, and if there is, why is he letting this happen to me and what does this mean and why am I so anxious about it and what can I do about that? And it changed me. If this is something that is really upsetting to you, please reach out to me. Don't even comment if you don't want to. Just email me. I will reach out to you. And know that you are so much more than your appearance.